Okay, I may even have to send you that, because some of them, the spelling and stuff, I might not even be able to come up for you, with you here. All right, everybody, this is going to be a live terrarium build in this beautiful little vase, similar to how I've started out in the past. One thing that I'm doing a little bit different in some of my original terrariums that everybody saw, in the base I would put rocks and then I would put a filter material over the top to act as what you call a false bottom. And all my research, I did that for about the first 15 years of my terrarium making. I still do it occasionally, but it's really kind of pointless. I don't think it makes the appearance look as nice, and so what I have switched to using is I use an orchid mix in the bottom of my terrariums. It's a very chunky mix that dries out really fast. It also contains charcoal in it, which is really great, and even in your potted plants, but it's great inside the terrariums too. The charcoal is very airy, so it can build up large amounts of healthy bacteria inside it. That's good for the terrarium, similar to what's going to happen in the natural soil outside in the ground. It also helps to fight off bacteria and funguses that can possibly kick up in the moist soil inside a terrarium, so it's very beneficial. So that's actually the first step. I did clean this glass out with a complete wipe down with some isopropyl alcohol at first to make sure there weren't any kind of issues inside it. And here we go. Do a little more of that. For me, a terrarium build is not complete unless I get my hands in the dirt and get a little bit messy. That's part of the process. On top of that goes my terrarium mix, which I've posted a few different times. I mix this up myself. It contains a little bit of potting soil. It contains some coconut coir. There's a little bit more of the orchid bark mixed in here, tiny bit of peat moss, a little bit of vermiculite that you see mixed in there. That vermiculite, I like to tell people, a lot of people think, why do you put that in there? Those little things of styrofoam, that's what a lot of people think they are. These little white pieces that are in here, those are actually little pieces of volcanic rock, not styrofoam. Similar purpose to what the charcoal does inside of these. It can build up bacteria because it's very airy, and it also lets the water run through it. Okay. This glass has some beautiful etchings on the outside of it, and I'm trying to maybe line up the plants a little bit with that so it looks cohesive. Holly is the owner of this terrarium, and she's sitting over here watching me. I'm gonna tell her right now I'm gonna love this one too much. I may end up wanting to steal it and run out the doors. I like the glass quite a bit. A lot of times my process changes as I go, and it just did that on the spot. Had an idea what was going to be the centerpiece in this and kind of changing it around on the fly. Some of the names of this stuff, as I put it in, if I can tell you what it is, this is called hypoestes. Holly, I'm going to get your counter a little bit messy here.
That's all right.
You can see the beautiful roots on these plants. I'm really picky about where I get my plants from, and most of the plants that I use in any of my terrariums are plants that I have owned already for at least a couple weeks, and I've been watching them grow. Quite a bit of the plants that I use these days in my terrariums, I propagate a lot of stuff on my own as well right now in my own greenhouse. That way I always know where everything's coming from. Hypoestes Hypostes, E-S-T-E-S.
I did it right.
One of the biggest things I try to do when I'm building the terrariums is I try and use a nice variety of plants that at first might look like, oh, there's some open space or empty space somewhere, but you got to remember that all this stuff is going to grow in someday a little bit. It grows a lot slower inside of a terrarium than it would outside in the bright sun, but these plants will grow over time. Part of why I have recently started calling myself an artist rather than a gardener when I'm doing this is because I actually had people tell me that for the last few years, tell me that this was artwork and not just gardening, that they really liked the way I put things together and how much I cared about the plants, and they felt that was more like an artist sitting in front of a canvas as he put stuff together. I have kind of adapted that now and call myself an artist with this stuff because I kind of feel like I am painting with my plants as I place everything in.
I agree.
Especially with kind of the thought on what's to come, what it will turn into. This is one I'll have to get you the exact name of. It's a silver laced pilea. And I think that's what it is. I'll get you the exact spelling and name of that one. It'll grow into a beautiful kind of darker accent behind that pink and white there.
And those are two different varieties of the Hypostes.
Mm-hmm. Same plant, just a pink and a green variety. This is called Bacopa, B-A-C-O-P-A-O. I don't think I did that exactly right. Bacopa.
Is that the same Bacopa like they use in hanging baskets?
Similar, yes. Some will. This can be really beautiful. It will hang over. I love it in my terrariums because what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this kind of in a round in a spot in here, and at pretty much each little leaf section you have coming off, it shoots its own little roots out from underneath, and it'll root down in there. This is one that you might have to reach in there with scissors now and then too, as it takes off, kind of growing. But I think it's a really beautiful accent in the terrariums. getting to see an experience pretty much where I stop talking there. It's kind of what I do when I'm building these terrariums at home. I almost get into a meditative state with the plants, and I normally have a little music playing in the background. So while this video might have been some periods quiet, that is actually a little closer to the true experience of what I do when I'm building. Oh, this is such a pretty little jar. This is one of those things that changes over time. Putting in little pieces of these different types of little ball moss, they'll grow larger over time and really kind of change the appearance in the spots where they're sitting. Can't promise I won't tweak this, guys, but I think we are completed.
And did you put a little moss in there also?
Mm-hmm. There is in two different spots, some sphagnum moss. One spot will show up a little bit more than the other. Right here in the front, it's kind of green and brown mixed together. It'll kind of bounce back as it's moist in there. This is a fern across the front, and on this side that'll spread across. And then there's 4 different little pieces of the ball moss that I just put in different spots around, and a bigger piece that I was just snuggling in the front there. And so all of those will eventually grow out. The little balls of moss that are hidden next to, I hid one next to the rock here, that'll eventually get as big as the little piece in the front. So you might not even see that right now. That's part of my design actually. Sure. Is some things I actually try and hide in certain spots underneath leaves, so that 6 months from now you go to look at it and you go, oh, what the heck is that? There's something new. That's beautiful inside there.
I love it.
Yes, it's such a beautiful piece of glass. I got to give it its final look there. It really is beautiful. I love that etching on the outside of it. The kind of leaf etching is just perfect for this to be a terrarium, I think. Yeah, she's beautiful. All right. Do a little bit. Use your bottle of water. Generally, I think probably every couple of months having to water. And then the other thing that you might have to water a little bit more frequently is if you do what I do with some of my terrariums. I go over and I take the top off of them, and I just smell and I look in and touch some of them, because to me that's one of the first things that got me into the terrariums is being able to open them when I was done, and they smell like the forest. It smells like you're in the middle of the forest after a little spring rain.
Awesome. It's beautiful.
I think that ought to pretty much do her. What temperature do you normally keep the house at? I can't quite.
Usually around 73. I keep it cooler in the winter.
Do you take it down at night? Or does it stay around 70 at night too? Or do you make it cooler at night?
I usually keep it right about 73.
Oh, that's fine. It wouldn't matter. I keep my house cooler at night, and several of my terrariums fog up at night because I get it down. I sleep with it at 68 degrees, and so I'm just gonna say if
That's like I like to do in the. I try to be more energy conscious.
I try.
Even though I like it really, really cool.
Yeah, I do try. I try, but.
I know, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, do I have any more glass with lids?
Yeah, I'm sad. I had a really pretty tall one that I had at the market for 2 weeks, and I was unpacking, and it fell over in the glass. I watched it go plop down the stairs and then into 100 pieces, and oh, darn it. Yeah, that's the hardest part of this, is finding more unique glass at reasonable prices.